Hello everybody, my name is Mark. Welcome to another one of my investing videos. And yes, it is that time of year again. I went over my yearly returns for the year of 2019 and I did take a loss. So if we scroll down here, you can see I do quite a lot of trading, mostly option trading, but also stock. And there it is right there. I took a loss of $229.34. But let's look at this year, okay? And if you watched my last video, you know what happened to me. I got assigned 900 shares of steel at $13 a share. So we'll jump up to 2020 here, and I cashed out, and I took a big loss here. So rip-roaring way to start the year 2020. Down $2,654.24. Now, let's talk about why do option traders lose money? And in my case, there are two reasons why I took losses in this time period. And reason number one, and we'll go ahead and we'll start out with the meat and potatoes, is because you don't follow your rules. I have stop losses and I'm very strict about that. But for some reason, I don't know if I was stubborn or if I was frustrated when steel dropped. And let's look at what steel did. I have a chart up right here. Is the 1 month chart. And right here, this little drop right there is where I got assigned the puts. I was doing a put spread and I bought 9 puts and I think I brought in about $300 until this happened. And then I was selling the 13 strikes and steel went all the way down to 12 and it put me in the red about $800. And so I said, well, you know what I'll do? I'll sell some covered calls. And so I sold some covered calls and I brought in a few $100s, but then steel continued to go down to where you see it at right now, $10.72. Okay, steel cut their dividend down to a penny. They also announced that their next earnings is going to be very ugly. And so as a result, because I didn't get out, because my stop loss was right about here, okay, and because steel gapped down, it blew past my stop loss. And so I was down several $100s. And I thought, well, I don't want to lose that much money. And so I hung in there. And instead of just getting out when I could and taking an $800 loss, I ended up taking a $2,600 loss. So it's very important that when you set up rules for yourself, I would strongly suggest you have a stop loss. And the stop loss is exactly what the words say. It stops you from losing money. And if you don't have a stop loss, then it's just a matter of time before you lose all or almost all your money. You have to have that stop loss. And when you have a stop loss, you need to get out. Even if it goes way below the stop loss and you take bigger loss than you hope or that you want, you still need to follow the rule. Okay, that's just the way this thing works. Okay, so that's reason number one. Now, reason number two, and let me go back to 2019. Okay, and 2019 could have been a much worse year for me, but I started out the year trading Microsoft, and I was doing call spread. And I even remember I was buying 105 calls and I was selling 105s, and then Microsoft started going up, and then I started selling the 106s, and then I kept rolling it up and rolling it up. So like there's the 105 call, there's a 106 calls, and then I went up to 110, 115, 111, and Microsoft just kept going up. Okay, and even though my long calls that I was buying was way in the money, and the short calls was way up to at one point 115 or where is it at? I can't even find it. Somewhere in there is like a 115 or a 116 call. I was selling very high strikes, but because the calls I was selling were weeklies and the calls I was buying were leaps, guess what? Delta. That's right. I was losing money on the delta. And even though you have a deeper in the money call, because that call doesn't expire until two years out or 3 years out or whatever, and the weekly calls that you're selling expire in a week, those weekly calls, the delta is going to spike all the way up to 1 or maybe a 0.99. Okay, and I don't care how deep in the money your leap call is, there's no way it's going to be that high. And on average, my leap call deltas was hanging at around, I would say, a 60 or a 65. So every dollar it went up, I was losing $40 per contract. And I believe I was trading like 2 or 3 contracts. I don't remember. So long story short, I finally got out when I realized that this call spread stuff isn't working for me because I have no idea what I'm doing. And I learned a big lesson there. I learned that when you're doing these long-term spreads, and they're really wide spreads, they're diagonal spreads and the strikes are really far apart, you got to keep a close eye on the delta, because whether you're doing a put spread or a call spread, if the price of the stock, the underlying stock, blows past your strike price of the call or the put, you're going to get jacked up on the delta and you are going to end up in the red. And so those are 2 reasons why I think, in my case, option traders lose money. Reason number 1, you don't follow your rules. And reason number 2, you get into something that you do not understand. And at the time, I did not understand how that worked. Now I much better understand spreads, but because of what Steel did, Steel is probably the wrong stock to be trading straight up diagonal spreads, because if we, and I'll close the video on this, if we go to a longer time frame here, let's look at the 5 years, okay, and look at these spikes. Steel moves very fast and very hard in a very short amount of time. If we go to a year, this is just in a year, okay, we have this big move and all of those big moves, and the question is, what do you do? Look at this move, look at this move, and look how short of a time. Like right here, April 2nd, and right here would be April 15th. So in the matter of just a couple weeks, it goes from 19 down to 16, and then it goes down to 14, and then it goes up, right? What are you going to do? How are you going to hedge yourself? How are you going to adjust your positions? Are you going to buy more calls or puts? Are you going to close your shorts? Are you just going to get out and take a loss and just set up a completely new spread? And these are questions that you have to answer on a regular basis, and it's difficult. It is difficult to trade spreads on a stock that has these big moves, and each of those moves are due to earnings and also to the black swans. And in this case, if we go back to the 1 monther, okay, this was because news came out that Steel is going to cut their dividend to 1 penny, okay, and that's always a bad sign when a company cuts their dividend all the way down to a penny. I mean, just look at General Electric and what happened to that stock, when they did that, right? So if you're losing money, why do option traders lose money? And really, it's the same question no matter what you do, whether you're doing stocks or options or futures or Bitcoin. The reason why I think people lose money in general is because you don't have rules, or you have rules and you don't follow them, which is my case, or you get into something that you don't understand what you're doing, okay? You will lose money, and the market is very unforgiving. It's not like your 9-to-5 job where you can mess up and you'll still get your paycheck. If you mess up in this stock market stuff, then the market isn't going to say, well, sorry to hear that you made a mistake and you didn't know what were you doing. You're just going to lose your money, okay? And so the market's very unforgiving in that way, okay? Your boss might forgive you, your company might forgive you that you work your 9-to-5, but not the market, man. You make mistakes and you're going to pay the piper. So that's pretty much it for this video. And I am currently all cash right now. If we take a look here at my account, I am all cash. I have no positions, and one of the things that I personally do is that when I take losses, I take a break for a couple weeks, and I just basically gather my thoughts, kind of do a little bit of recalibration, and just kind of take in and digest what happened. And if nothing else, if I take a break for a few weeks, then that puts a stop to the losses that I've been taking since last year, since February, when I opened this new account. And so this is where I'm at right now. I still got money. I'm not going to lose all my money, but I gotta stop. I gotta stop the bleeding somewhere, right? And so that's one of the ways I do it, is that I just take a break, and then I come back and I'm ready to go another round. So thank you for watching. As always, any comments or feedback is welcome. I will see you in the next video. Happy trading and ciao.